Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing good. In this video, let us discuss the facilitation provided to suppliers who are supplying goods through electronic commerce operators. The legal position as on date is, any person, if he is supplying goods through e-commerce operators like Amazon, Flipkart, etc., then he has to compulsorily take registration under GST, irrespective of his turnover. So even if his turnover is well within the threshold limit, still he has to get himself mandatorily registered under GST. So any businessman, if he is making any supply of goods through Amazon, and even if the supply is only worth ₹100, he has to take GST registration. Also, such persons are not eligible to avail the benefit of composition scheme. So first they have to take mandatory registration under GST. Also, they are not eligible for composition scheme benefit. Now, with effect from 1st October 2023, now if any person supplies goods through e-commerce operators and his turnover does not exceed the threshold limit, then he is exempted to take GST registration. So from this coming October 2023, if any supplier is making a supply of goods through Amazon and his turnover is within the threshold limit, then he has an option to not take registration under GST. An unregistered supplier will also be eligible to supply goods through electronic commerce operators. Secondly, such persons now are also eligible to avail the benefit of composition scheme. It is a good move in the era where we are moving away from brick and mortar stores toward the online world. However, like all good things, this move has also come with a catch. It is very important to take note of the fact that these concessions are available only and only for intrastate supplies, not interstate supplies. Meaning thereby, any person availing such concessions is only allowed to make intrastate supply, and he will not be in position to fulfill orders obtained from buyers located outside the state or union territory of such supplier. So if a supplier situated in Delhi who is supplying goods through Amazon or Flipkart, and because his turnover is within the threshold limits, he decides not to take GST registration, then he can only fulfill orders within Delhi. He is not allowed to fulfill orders obtained from Haryana or Uttar Pradesh. Or if he opts for composition scheme, then also he cannot fulfill orders obtained from outside Delhi. The logic is very simple. GST is a destination-based tax. If such unregistered suppliers or composition dealers are allowed to make interstate supplies, then the GST component of the destination state would never reach them. Hence, this restriction has been put in place. And the responsibility to ensure that such suppliers do not make interstate supplies is on the electronic commerce operator. And in case of any default, it is the electronic commerce operator who has been made liable with a penalty equivalent to the tax amount foregone or 10,000 rupees, whichever is higher. So this was the gist of the entire changes brought in this regard. Now let us understand how and when these suitable amendments were made. In principle, approval for this purpose was given way back in 47th GST Council meeting itself, and amendments in statutory provisions for this purpose was approved in the next 48th GST Council meeting. And it was also decided back then only that such benefits would become effective from 1st October 2023. Via Finance Act 2023, suitable amendments were made in CGST Act. 2 amendments were made, one in Section 10 and another one in Section 23. Section 10 has been suitably amended to allow the benefit of composition scheme to such suppliers. The words goods appearing in Clause D of subsection 2 of Section 10 has been omitted, thus making persons who supply goods through e-commerce operators eligible for composition scheme. Second amendment was made in Section 23 of CGST Act to enable the government to notify the class of persons who would not be liable for registration, even if they are required to take compulsory registration under Section 24. If you go through Section 24 of CGST Act, it gives a list of persons who have to compulsory take GST registration. Clause 9 of Section 24 specifies that any person who supplies goods, except when under RCM, through e-commerce operators, he has to compulsory take GST registration. It was because of this clause that any person, as soon as he decided to supply goods through e-commerce operators, he was to mandatorily get registration under GST. So Finance Act 2023 substituted subsection 2 of Section 23, enabling the government to notify class of persons who would not be liable for registration. And this substituted subsection 2 was given overriding effect on Section 24 and Section 22 of CGST Act. Thus, any class of persons, even if they are mentioned under Section 24 to obtain compulsory registration, government has been enabled to exempt such persons from obtaining registration by exercising powers under this subsection 2 of Section 23. And by exercising power under this subsection 2 of Section 23 only, government has recently issued notification number 34 of 2023, specifying that persons supplying goods through electronic commerce operators are exempted from obtaining GST registration provided their turnover does not exceed the threshold limit. And as mentioned in the beginning of the video itself, these concessions are available only for intrastate supplies and not interstate supplies. And the responsibility to ensure that such suppliers do not make any interstate supply is on the electronic commerce operator. Finance Act 2023 made third suitable amendment in Section 122 of the CGST Act and inserted a new subsection, that is 1B, which provides for penalty on e-commerce operator in case of any such failure. Lastly, there are 2 other notifications important in this regard. Notification number 36 and 37 of 2023 issued in exercise of power under Section 148 of CGST Act. They specify that electronic commerce operators shall ensure that such suppliers do not make interstate supplies. Secondly, he shall furnish a detail of all the supplies made by such persons in form GSTR 8 on the common portal. And lastly, in case of composition dealer, he shall collect the tax from such dealer, and no such tax shall be collected in case of unregistered persons. So the government has actually provided persons who are supplying goods through e-commerce operators with good concessions. But if you look at the ground reality, if you look at the practical scenario, such concessions would turn out to be beneficial only and only for such suppliers who are catering to the local needs. Because practically speaking, as soon as any person decides to supply goods through e-commerce operators, he incur a lot of expenses, especially marketing and advertising expenses, and he would like to cater the orders obtained from all the states. But because he is not allowed to make interstate supplies, any sane business person would not opt for these concessions only. That's it for this video. I'll see you in another video with another important changes brought in the GST. Till then, take very good care of yourself. I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.